talk about contests and how to plan and execute a great one. Please help me welcome currently our club growth director and our incoming program quality director, Mr. Kyle Hall.
So we're working from this handout. Does everyone have a copy? You should have a copy. It's not in your binder. There's no 3-hole punch. Came late to the party. Raise your hand if you don't have a copy. Okay. Contests. I love contests. I used to be a competition avoider. Seriously, I was a competition avoider since early life. When I was about 12 years old or even younger, I realized I had a problem with contests. There was this one aspect of competing I had a problem with: losing. And so I stopped competing in a lot of areas of my life. And without even realizing it, I mean, it wasn't a conscious decision. I just kind of withdrew from that. And when I joined Toastmasters back in the 90s, and about a year into my first club, the senior members of the club said, "Hey, we need somebody to go to the area contest." And we didn't have a club contest. They said, "Kyle, you did that great speech, speech number 4. That was great. Why don't you do that?" And I went, and they twisted my arm behind my back and threw me out in front of the area contest. And I did my speech, and I won. That was neat. I won. Okay, great, I'm done. No, now you get to go to the division level. Well, I went to the division level contest, and I got my Toastmaster butt kicked. But I didn't care, because I saw the guy who beat me. I watched how he moved, I listened to how he spoke. I watched how he used props. I learned from his storytelling. I learned so much from losing in that contest. I became a contest junkie. And I competed for years and years and years. And then when I took time off from competing to be an area and division director back in District 2, I had to plan a contest, and I also volunteered to judge contests. And if you want to learn about competing, I recommend competing first, but if you can't compete, judge. And also plan a contest. Now, this is what we're going to talk about today, planning contests. Now, you may not think contests are important. You may never have competed in a speech contest. There are some Toastmasters who think contests are the most important thing. There are some people who think contests, they're just fun. And there are some contest people who don't want to be bothered with them. It's okay. But as an area director or division director, you need to plan a contest. And it should be somewhat of a social event, but it also has to follow the rules of the contest. So let's talk about how to do that and how to do it sanely. Because you can do it insanely if you want to. Yeah, Joanna's like, I did that. But I planned enough of them that I think I know some of the clues to doing it sanely. So I'm going to walk you quickly through my handout, and then I want to discuss with you your questions and also some of your observations about what has made a great or really bad contest. So the first thing, if you want to do it sanely, is get started early. Now, in your book, in your manual that's in front of you, in a couple of pages, we'll talk about the district calendar. You want to look at that and say, when do the club contests have to be done? Inform your clubs. Your club contests have to be done by this date. And when do you plan your area contest? I don't know the date off the top of my head, but there's going to be a time window. Between this date and this date, I need to have my area contest. And it needs to be done so that people who win can go on to the division. And especially for people in Alaska, that might involve a plane flight. So you need to get that done in time. It helps if you start early. So for those of you who are incoming area directors, incoming division directors, I would seriously start looking for a venue next week. Now, you may know your venue already. Great. If you do, great. But if you don't know your venue, talk to your outgoing area director, talk to your outgoing division director, talk to officers in the clubs in your area, and find out if there are venues around, especially inexpensive venues. Cheap is, free is great. Free is best. Cheap is good. But some places where people want to be. You don't want to be doing it in a moldy warehouse. But find the venue, and that's the first thing you need to do, is find the venue. And one of the questions that always comes up, well, okay, the venue's not free. What do I do? I wanted to use the Gardner Center. Don't worry about where it is. It was located, my area was spread out, a long area, not as long as some of the areas in Alaska, but for Washington it was spread out. And the Gardner Center was kind of located in the middle. I wanted to use it, but it was 45 bucks. Well, it's 45 bucks, so how am I going to deal with that? I could pay for it myself. I have seen area directors do that. Well, I'm not independently wealthy, so I elected not to do that. I've seen area directors who put out a please donate jar, and they hope they get enough money by the end of the night to pay for the room. That may work, it may not. You may get more than enough money, or you may be left holding the bag. What I elected to do was I told my clubs. I had 5 clubs. I had a $45 fee. I said, this is what I need from you for the contest. I need $9. I need a judge. I need a volunteer for some other role, and I need somebody to bring a plate of food. I need those 4 things from you. By the way, I also need to know who your contestants are. And I told them that, well in advance. But I said, I need $9 from you, and the first time I did that, all the clubs coughed up their money and their judge, and the second time I went through, one club didn't cough up their $9. Okay, I ate the $9. But I told them what I wanted, and they said okay. So figure out your venue, look at how you're going to pay for things. If you're worried about size, most area contests are 20 to 50 people. If you get a lot of people, if you have a fun contest, you could get a lot. Divisions, 30 to 70 people. Now the next thing for keeping your contest sane is get your chief players in place. Now, you as area director or division director may be the contest chair. The contest chair is the person planning the contest, the person making all the arrangements. Often the area director or division director is the contest chair. You don't have to be. If there's somebody who wants to do an HPL, doing it on a contest is a great way to do an HPL, and whoever's doing the HPL would be the contest chair. So you could hand that off to somebody, you just need to be involved in the process and make sure they're actually getting things done. But the 3 primary roles are contest chair and what else? Chief judge, contest toastmaster. Now I had an important lesson the year before. I love being contest toastmaster. I've always loved being contest toastmaster. So when I was contest chair, I just made myself contest toastmaster, and I thought that was double the fun. But you know what? I was wrong. Mike encouraged me to find somebody else to be my contest toastmaster. So I said, okay, Mike, you're it. And I like working with Mike. So Mike was my contest toastmaster, which meant I got to just be contest chair. And my contest was more enjoyable for me because I didn't have to be up in front of people. I could be sitting in the background dealing with details that were coming up rather than being up in front of people, ignoring the details that were coming up. And I got to make the contest run smoothly. So those 3 roles, I think, should be 3 different people. Contest chair, the planner, contest toastmaster, the person up in front, chief judge. Now, I'm not going to tell you that one of those is more important than the others, but they're all important. Get them early. Line them up early. Now, here's the things you need to make sure. You need to make sure the person who's doing the job knows how to do the job. Do not ask your friend Bob to be the chief judge because he's your friend and he's been in the club 2 years. You want somebody who's judged before, preferably who's chief judged before. If you don't know who that person is, talk to past area directors, past division directors, talk to other district leaders. Find somebody who knows how to do a chief judging job. And if they haven't been chief judge before, they need to at least be judged before. Here's a primary qualification for being a chief judge. They need to have discretion. I know a lady, she's a dedicated Toastmaster, she brings in guests, she has been a judge, she's done all kinds of other things. I will never ever make her chief judge because she likes to gossip. And the chief judge has to be able to walk out of that contest knowing who won, who almost won, how close they came, and yet keep it to themselves. If you've got any doubts about a person's discretion, do not let them be the counter or chief judge, because those people walk out of there knowing who almost won. And the last thing you want is somebody going up to a contestant going, "Oh, you were so close." So, contest Toastmaster. You need somebody who knows how to be a Toastmaster, and it's not just a Toastmaster like running a meeting, it's somebody who knows the rules of running a contest. I have seen bad contest Toastmasters. I've seen good ones. When you introduce a person in a contest, how do you introduce them?
Name, speech, name.
Right, name, title, name.
Which contest?
Right, if it's a speech contest, it's name, title, name, that's it, no intro. When the person's done, what do you do? No, when the person's done, while you're waiting for the next contestant, what do you do?
1 minute silence.
1 minute of silence. Have you seen a Toastmaster who can't shut up? I've seen that. They cannot sit there for a minute in silence. That's tough. Even worse is a Toastmaster who wants to comment on the speech they just saw during the minute of the silence. Wow, wasn't that a great speech? He did such a good job. Shut up! That's not their job. Here's a judgment call thing. Let's say we're going to be doing the humorous speech contest and table topics contest in the fall. So for the humorous speech contest, you want a Toastmaster who can warm up the audience a little bit, a Toastmaster who can be funny. On the other hand, you don't want somebody who's going to be funnier than all the contestants. So there's a judgment call there. But figure out who your chief players are. When it comes to getting the other judges, one idiosyncrasy, this is a change in the last couple of years, at least as far as I know. It is the chief judge's job to bring the tie-breaking judge. The contest chair and the contest Toastmaster don't even have to know who the tie-breaking judge is. And when the chief judge does the briefing, the tie-breaking judge does not have to attend the briefing. They really kind of want it kept secret. Now, if you're paying attention, you can figure out who it is. Somebody does it scribbling on a form, and you know they're not a judge. It's probably the tie-breaking judge. But the point is, you as contest chair, when you ask your chief judge, remind him, by the way, it's your job to bring the tie-breaking judge. The last thing you want to do is show up at the contest and you're both going, "I thought you were doing it. No, I thought you were doing it. Oh, I thought you were doing it." Same thing with forms. You're the contest chair, so you're going to talk to the contest Toastmaster and the chief judge. Find out who's bringing the forms. Are you bringing the forms or are they bringing the forms? You know, who's bringing the judging form, who's bringing the eligibility forms and all that stuff. Just negotiate it beforehand. And then, if the judge is bringing the forms or the contest Toastmaster is bringing the forms and you're the contest chair, bring the forms anyway, because somebody will forget something. I actually have a little contest bag that I'm not even involved. I'm not a member of the area of the division. I grab my little contest bag and I bring it with me and it's in the car. And when somebody goes, "Oh God, I don't have this," I can run out and get it. Let's talk about judges just for a second. If you're an area contest, you're supposed to have 5 judges or more. If you're a division contest, you're supposed to have 7 judges or more. Now, most of your areas have 4 clubs. So that means some area directors love to get all of their judges from outside their area. That's a great way to avoid bias. You can do that. And if you're going to do that, talk to your other area directors and start a judge swapping. Oh, I'll get 5 if you get 5 and we'll swap. You can do that. I personally like to get my judges from within my area because it means members from my clubs are getting experience judging. But that means I have to get 1 judge from every club and then another one. So I will tell the clubs, I need 1 judge from each of you, and then I go find the 5th one somewhere else. So it's your choice how you do that. Divisions, same, pretty much works the same way. Oh, here's an important point. With the area contests, this is an important point. You're getting a judge for your contest. You're an area director. So Ginny is competing, and she's from Club ABC. Patrick has volunteered to be a judge, and he's from Club ABC. Can he judge? Yes, he can.
In the area level.
At the area level, he can. Now we go division level. Ginny won the area contest. She's competing. Patrick volunteers to judge. He is from the same club as Ginny. Division level, can he judge? No, he cannot. Christine is not from Ginny's club. She can judge. So at the area level, because we don't have a big enough pool of people, judges and contestants can be from the same club. But at the division level, that's no longer true. And at the district, it's certainly not true. So just a distinction there. Now, I have a spreadsheet that I used for keeping track of my contests, and I will email that out to all of you. I don't have all your emails yet, so we'll talk to Mike, and I'll email that out to all of you, hopefully Monday. And I use this for keeping track. I list my clubs, I list who's the first contestant, who's the winning contestant, who's the runner-up, and what their phone numbers are. You want to know that, because what happens if it's the day before the contest, and I get a call from Phil, who's the chief contestant, and he goes, oh gee, work happened and I can't come. Well, I need to call the runner-up to find out if they can make it. And I want to know, and I use the same spreadsheet to know, so Club ABC, who are they sending as their judge? Who's bringing the plate of food? Who's going to be volunteering? And what role can I put them in? So I just do it all in one little grid. So it made planning easy for me. I'll send that out. So I've talked about my experiences enough to you. What I would like to hear from you is, one, your questions, and two, your comments. What have you seen in a contest that worked really well, or what have you seen that didn't? Cindy?
I have two questions.
Sure.
Is there anywhere on the TLY website or somewhere that has the rules for these contests? And is there also a place that shows us who the past chiefs were, the organizers were, so that we could just reach out to them directly, quickly?
So, two good questions. Where are the rule books? You can go out to the TI website and just search on rule book, and it's in the packet. Okay, it's in the packet.
It's
Okay,
in the packet.
wonderful. Thank
The
you.
2017 rule book is in the packet.
Now, I'm going to encourage you to go out to the TI website anyway and download the rulebook in a PDF format. Here's why. Somebody's going to call you up and say, I think this rule. And you're going to want to look it up. And it's really easy to go into the PDF and search. What's the rules for evaluation contest? It's much easier to search it than to look it up in paper. So I encourage you to have the PDF too. Here's another thing. Read the rulebook just once. Read the rulebook. It's a bit of a slog. What I did was I put it next to my bed table, and I read 2 or 3 pages, and then I went to sleep. And then the next night I read 2 or 3 pages, and then I went to sleep. But I made it painless, and I read it, and it was so worthwhile to go, oh yeah, I'd forgotten that rule. Christine.
TI website, when you look up the speech contest, they have videos on how to be the chief judge and how to run the contest. And then they have a little question answer sheet, and you try to answer questions and realize, no, it was a slog too, and you have to go back and look at it again. But it was really helpful. And reading the rule book, I'm much more interactive.
Right. So I encourage you to look at the videos. I also do encourage you to read the rule book once, because there are details in there. I want to finish answering Cindy's question. In terms of, can you look up who's chief judge before? We may have a list of who has been a chief judge for the district. I'd have to talk to David Loudis about that. There is no place on the TI website.
David Loudis, what is his name?
David Loudis is our District 32 historian, and he keeps a bunch of lists, like where we've had conferences and who's won this and who's won that and who's been the district director. He may have a list of who's been a chief judge. I'd have to check. There is no place on the TI website where you can go and look at that, because TI doesn't keep track of who we ask to be chief judge in the contest.
But you can check generally with your division director or someone who's been at the district level, because they'll know who did the contest last year.
Right. So certainly keep the phone numbers of last year's area director, last year's division director, and if the
Conference chairs, yeah.
conference chairs, yeah. So other questions?
Yeah, if you go to the TI website, you also get the certificates for first, second, third place. And
Yes.
you can print those on nice card stock and be ready to have somebody with good calligraphy to write in the names.
So actually, just to go beyond that, so you go to the TI website and you're searching for contests. You can download zip files, hopefully you know how to unzip a file, which have all the judging forms, all the timing forms, all the counter forms, the tie-breaking judging form. It also has eligibility forms that speakers need to fill out, judging eligibility forms, and the certificates. All of it's in one zip file. And what I did is on my computer, I created a contest directory, and in it I have one directory for each type of contest, and all the files are there.
Last couple of years, District 32 had links to District 55 for their contest information. Not only did they have all the stuff from Toastmasters International, they had scripts that
Yes.
they could adjust for
Yep.
the contest chair,
Yep.
the Toastmaster of the event, and for the chief judge.
Right.
Printed those out, we've used those in the Area 51. They had a spreadsheet similar to what you're talking about, but it's planning a contest in 6 weeks. A schedule, who to have, all the
Yep.
resources, everything. I took that one and I added in another page for, okay, who's in my clubs, who's doing that, similar to what you mentioned.
Okay. I want to make another comment on that, but Alex had his hand up.
I just wanted to, one point, please do go to Toastmasters International website. Don't get confused with the district website, but the Toastmasters International, they update those forms and the rule books every single year. They are different every year. Have a folder on your computer. This is good file management. Have a file on your computer, and at the end of the year, delete everything in it and download the stuff again. Because it changes, and if you're using something from 4 or 5 years ago because you've been doing it that long, it's outdated.
Yes. And it is actually true. For instance, one of the recent rules from like 2 years ago, you're in the evaluation contest, which happens, of course, in March. And the evaluator contestants are getting up and going into a room to work. They're not allowed to have any electronic devices, to use any electronic devices while they're in that room for 5 minutes working or afterwards. And the same has to be true for table topics. Now, this is a relatively new thing that's been stuck in the rule book only the last couple of years. If I was working from a rule book from 2012, I wouldn't even know about it. You can't have electronic devices. The last thing you want is your table topic contestant in the room getting a text from somebody in the room going, here's your question. And you don't want your evaluator sitting in the room on their iPad or going looking up quotes and references that they want to use in their evaluations, because it's not fair to the person who doesn't have the electronic device. So that's an example of a new rule that's in the books that wasn't there a few years ago.
So do you confiscate cell phones?
Well, I tell them, you turn your cell phone off and keep it in your pocket. And if you take your, and I tell them during the briefing, if you take your electronic device out during the contest, you're out.
You're disqualified.
You're disqualified. So just turn your laptop off, turn your phone off, hand it to your spouse or whatever, and just, don't take it out. If you see it out, you're done. Now that brings us to the briefing. Chief judges have to give a briefing to the judges. The contest Toastmaster has to give a briefing to the contestants. As Carolyn said, there are scripts you can download. I believe we have some on our website. I've certainly downloaded some. When I'm the contest chair and I ask Ginny to be my chief judge, I say, thank you for being my chief judge. By the way, here's a script on how to do a briefing. Now she can choose not to use it, but I've given it to her. I do the same thing with the contest Toastmaster, because I want them to have something in front of them so they remember to bring up all the points. The last thing you want is to have a contestant come out of a contest going, I have no idea what's going on. We had that at a contest where the briefing was poor, the contest Toastmaster didn't do a good job. The contestant said, I'd like to see, are we going to get a chance to stand up in front of the room and actually see the lights work, see the timing lights work? And the contest Toastmaster said, no. That's, even if you have to hold the contest for 30 seconds while you march the 5 contestants up front and they can see the lights, you give them a chance to do that. Other questions, other comments? Lori?
Two things that I noticed in a couple contests I thought were well done, and it was when I helped with the 42 area, where you had clipboards, because it was not, there was no desks.
Yep.
So clipboards for the forms.
Okay,
That was really handy.
Right.
And the other one that was, and I ended up doing it this year for my area contest, is actually pre-printing all the certificates for all the contestants, and then recycling the one, the second place, third place, whichever
okay.
ones weren't first or wasn't second or
Sure.
so on. And it just made it move so much faster.
Could you guys hear Lori's comment? Having clipboards, especially if you don't have tables for judges to work on, and pre-printing the forms and recycling them. The other thing I do is, I don't pre-print the winning certificates, but I make sure I have somebody with good handwriting, because my handwriting's terrible. So, last thing you want is, hey, I'm first place, that's not my name, because I can't read it. Get somebody with good handwriting. One second, Mike?
How many of you have been part of a multi-area contest? Why is that so useful?
More bodies. Swap judging.
Yeah.
For example,
What'd she say?
swap judging, that's where I was going. So Area 41 and 42 are holding a contest, so Area 41's director is the contest chair, but Area 42's director becomes the chief judge and recruits judges from his club, and then they swap roles for the Area 42 contest.
You can.
You can do that. You can
Okay,
do it
so
that way.
let me address that for a minute. You got two areas putting on a contest together. One thing I've seen, which was really kind of frustrating, is one area did its entire contest. Speech contest, other contest, did everything, and then the other contest did it. And that meant that people from this area had to watch this area that they didn't care about. And then people, so don't do it that way. You can swap roles if you wish. I think the easiest and most sane way to do it is get your 5 to 6 judges from the clubs within the two areas. Get all your players. You do, if it's a speech contest for us, let's assume let's just talk springtime, eval and speech contest. So you do your eval contest first, you do the target speaker and the 3 or 4 contestants from one area and 3 or 4 contestants from one area. Then you stop, take a break, the judges are off counting. And then you do the speech, and you do your 3 or 4 contestants from one area and 3 or 4 contestants from the other area, and you stop and the judges are off counting, well, the counters are off counting, and you do your interviews and so forth. So you can swap roles if you wish. I would encourage you to just keep it simple. Get your 5 or 6 judges in place and just use them for the whole contest.
That's exactly what we did in 33 and 30, or 32 and 34, is we just had one big group, and we split them up. I mean, timing-wise, it was all
Right.
32 and then all 34.
Right.
And the other thing is that we didn't have a contestant from every club, and we were able to pull judges from the clubs that weren't competing.
Sure.
And that just made it a bigger, easier to make sure there wasn't any question about the ability of the judges to judge.
The other advantage is you get to split the planning work up amongst 2 area directors, and you get crowds from 2 areas,
Yeah.
so you get more people. And a contest with more people is a contest that's more fun. Other comments, Sarah?
Can you you may have answered this question, but can you do an area contest in the prison?
Can you do an area contest in prison?
They can't leave to go
Right.
somewhere else.
It has been done. You can do an area contest in prison. Here's the challenge. Everybody who's going to go in, all the judges, all the contestants, all the other participants in the contest, all the officials, all have to pass through security. And let's say there's 4 clubs in the area, and you have 1 contestant from the prison and 3 other contestants. What if one of those contestants won't get through security?
Well, they won't, yeah.
Well, some don't want to go into a prison,
Right.
and they have that's a right. They have a right to do that. But some of them, well, maybe one of them won't get into a prison.
Right.
So what do you do? That's if you want to do it in a prison, I would seriously have a conversation with all the clubs involved to make sure everybody's willing. If some of the people are like, nah, I'm not comfortable with that, then don't try it.
Yeah.
Kyle, it's more complicated than that too. I wanted to go visit women's prison,
Sure.
and I had to give her my information like a month ahead of time.
Yeah.
I had to be vetted ahead of time. So you're gonna have all those people
Right.
that are saying they're gonna come, and you're gonna have them go through all this vetting. And then somebody says, well, I wanted to go, but you can't, it's too late. And this one who thought he was going is in it.
Yeah, so the timing of it adds a layer of complication. You're going to have to do more work if you want to do that. And you probably have to start now if you're going to do that before, in time for August.
Can you
Cindy?
video in the prisoner into another location?
I don't think CI will allow you to do that. I believe you have to be present in the room to compete.
Yeah, and the prisons don't have video capabilities.
I found, yeah.
Right, and that brings up an interesting point. Your contest is about to start and one of your contestants hasn't shown up. What do? You start. If they're not there, the contest chair and the chief judge can set a time. You know, if they're not here by 10 of, we're starting at 7. If they're not there by 10 of, they're out. Of course, you have to tell them that. You have to tell them that in advance. But you say, you know, the briefing is at quarter of. If you're not here by 10 of, you're not competing. But if you say it, though, you have to stick with it. If they walk in at 5 of, you say, I'm sorry, it's too late. Because you have to be fair. Whatever you say, you do. Now, you do your contest. You receive a piece of paper from the judge that says, these are the winners. And you hand out your certificates. You announce the winners. And people are milling about, congratulating and whatnot. And somebody comes up and says, there was a timing error, and the winner was disqualified. What do you do?
It's already been announced, it's already done.
It's already been announced. When it's been announced, it is final. Doesn't matter if somebody comes up and wants to protest. Doesn't matter if somebody comes up and says, we made a mistake. After it's been announced, it is final.
What, wait, that means I won. What?
That's the rule.
So
Yeah.
who
By
can
the way,
protest?
who can protest?
The judge,
A
Speakers.
judge or a
or
contestant.
contestant.
Judges or
It has to be
contestants.
done before the announcement.
And that should be covered in the briefing. Those are the only people who can protest, are judges or contestants. Other questions, other comments?
Just a reminder that if there is a time disqualification, you have to announce it before you announce the winners. Not who it was, but you have to say there was a disqualification for time.
Right.
And then because we had that come up in a contest, where there was a disqualification, but it wasn't announced, and it wasn't tragic, but it just made things complicated, messy.
Yeah.
And one other note is that as you're starting, before you start the contest, the contest toastmaster, I believe, reads out the rules for the contest to the entire gathering.
Audience, yeah.
Not the rule book.
Not the rule book,
yeah,
but the-
goes over the
the
guidelines.
highlights,
Yeah. We'll have them in silence. Shut off your phones. 5 to
You will
7
not be allowed
minutes
to
time.
enter.
Not allowed to enter and leave while contestants are speaking. No photography. Here's an interesting question. Somebody says, I want to record the contest. Well, the answer is no. If you want to sit there and record your contestant with their permission, if I'm competing and my wife is sitting there with a camera, no one cares. But you cannot record the rest of the contest. And you can't sit there with lights and it has to be really, really, really unobtrusive. If somebody's setting up equipment and spotlights, tell them to shut it down and take it away. Teeny. Tiny. Sorry.
If you are recording and you got that permission, you have to let all of the contestants know that. as
Yeah,
well.
you cannot record. Yeah, you cannot record the contest without getting everyone's permission.
Well, I mean, just for that one person that is speaking.
You still have to
you're
get-
recording, You
still
still
have to
have to
announce it.
you have to let all of the contestants know.
Okay, thank you.
We had that where one contestant wanted to be recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And during the contestant briefing, he made sure that I have given permission to my wife to record me. I just want you to know that the camera is set up to record me. It is not going to be running
Right.
during your speeches. So he.
Did everyone hear that, what Carolyn said? So, yeah, the contestant just brought it up during the contestant briefing and let everyone know they were not going to be recorded. Okay. Other questions or comments on running the Joanna?
So there's quite a few of us that have put on contests and we think we're like rule book experts. Toastmasters International also has a page that shows all of the rule changes that have come about over the last few years.
Yes.
You will get challenged by somebody. Make sure that you view that page as well, so you can tell them this changed on whatever year date, so then you have a basis for that. Again, some of us are all about rules. I'm one of them, and I'm the crazy person that plans contests a huge time in advance. But your rule book is going to be different from last year's rule book Toastmasters International will have the changes for each year.
What I did was I printed out that change page.
Yeah.
I had the rule book and I had the change page. Did I have it memorized? No. Did I study it? I read the rule book once, I read the page once, but I had it in my folder. So if I got challenged, I could go, okay, let's look at it. You want to stop the contest and while we look this up? Okay, let's look it up.
Exactly, you want to have reference.
Yeah. But I'd rather have it and make sure I can pull it out and go, okay, this is where it says, than not. Carolyn?
One thing I did is when I had a physical copy of the rule book, I actually tabbed and noted where some of the different sections were.
So you can
So
get...
that way I could flip right to that if there was any questions. I didn't have to say, okay, it's on this page here. I had it, it's like, okay, it's on this page.
You were organized.
Yeah, it's confusing rule book anyway, so I agree with Carol.
Now,
Have it.
my goal for this presentation was to make planning your contests simple and sane. Hopefully it will be. If you have questions, send them my way. Talk to the person above you, meaning if your area, talk to division, division talk to me. If you talk to the person who had your job beforehand, ask for help, get help. Don't sit there and wonder what to do about it.